There are several effects of climate change that will drastically change the average life of any person living today at some point in their lifetime if they live long enough. I decided that in order to follow up on the video I had before, I'll make this video on the effects of climate change. In the last video, I didn't talk about climate change in the environment as much as I anticipated. The video itself was actually really successful for me, anyways, as I gained 5 subscribers from that one video alone. Anyways, without further ado, here are the effects that we as a human species will see from climate change. The first thing I'd like to mention is that the intensity and damage of hurricanes will increase drastically. The frequency of Category 4 and 5 hurricanes have increased since the early 1980s, and this is in part due to climate change. I'd like to note the correlation directly from human activity. It's still being researched, but however, hurricanes will grow more intense, and that is coming from the official NASA website. Already in countless countries like India, the monsoon season, caused directly by the growing of intensity of climate change and also hurricanes, has claimed 1,000 lives. 1.8 million people have been evacuated in India, and considering that it's been speculated that the first ever game in a Google Doodle costed around $120 million lost in the economy, a lot more money was lost in the Indian economy. Think about what's going to happen next to the rest of the world. Ignoring it would be ignoring the money we would lose and also the changes on society we would lose too. Secondly, more droughts and heat waves will be caused. At the end of the 21st century, we would have been once in 20 years. At the end of the 21st century, what would have been once in 20-year extreme heat days are practically projected to happen every 2 to 3 years over most of the nation. That is a change that will certainly affect us because the amounts of deaths that are caused by these heat waves are really big. 658 people succumb to deaths related to extreme heat on an average year. And thirdly, the sea level will rise 1 to 4 feet by the end of the century. Ever since the days of proper reliable record keeping was instated, which is 1880 for your knowledge, the global sea level has risen about 8 inches. It has been 139 years since 1880. In 81 years, that sea level will rise 1 to 4 feet in only 81 years. That is a whole 58 years gap. Of course, I'm aware of a common analogy which I'm going to cover. When someone's house is flooding, they're obviously just going to evacuate, which is completely true, and I cannot argue against that in that sense. However, the amount of culture that would be lost from a city being submerged underwater would be completely devastating. Imagine if one day the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, or practically any famous monument had to be moved away from its original place that it was known for and instead be altered to be in a different location. I don't think that it would be a good solution to ignore things like that. Finally, to end this video off, I am going to say something. I am not against the free market, and I full-heartedly am not against all corporations and companies. Capitalism, in most cases, is a great economic system. But I think that the free market shouldn't be given too much power because we need also to care about the free lives of our citizens as we need to care about the free market. Companies like ExxonMobil have been known in the past to abuse the environment, but I don't think that Roblox abuses the environment, which still manages to give random 17-year-olds $100,000. Companies are not necessarily the enemy, but the enemy itself is the nature of some very terrible, horrid people using their money, people to abuse their standing in the world in order to gain more money and more popularity. And that is a thing that will go on till the end of humanity itself. As over time we as a human race have found that due to countless events and certain people, history will repeat itself if people are not educated in it. And that's how it is. Thank you. Tool, signing out.